chez maman et papa. Je vous accorde mes bénédictions et mon amour. Depuis quelques mois, cela a été une période difficile. Les Allemands ont commencé à avancer contre notre première ligne. Nous avons dû adapter drastiquement nos stratégies. Mais la mission n'a pas changé. Je refuse de me rendre. Bien que mon âme dort dans les ténèbres, il se lèvera avec le soleil. J'aime beaucoup les étoiles pour avoir peur de la nuit. Je vous aime avec mon cœur. Vive la France!
Oh boy, just wait until he hears about hearing protection. Oh, wait. Hey guys, how's it going? It is 𝘓𝘦𝘮𝘬𝘕 here, and today we are going to be covering what was the necessary call to arms for France during the Great War, as they needed to supply themselves with a weapon with subsequent mechanical advancement to bring their original rifle caliber into an automatic platform. And with that, we have been blessed with this. Here, we have the M1915 Chauchat machine gun made out of Lego. So, the Chauchat, or the Chauchat, or what's also known as the fusil mitrailleur modèle 1915 CSRG, is the standard light machine gun first envisioned as far back as 1903 by Colonel Louis Chauchat with the assistance of Charles Sutter, in which they were both tasked to making what was their original designs for 7 self-loading machine guns built for plain gunners. The original models featured a top-mounted magazine, a bottom-facing charging handle, and even fired its own caliber, the 7x59 Chauchat. However, France was very persistent into keeping their soldiers using the smokeless 8x50mm rimmed Lebel cartridge, and even pushed for this to continue with Chauchat and Sutter's project, and the later prototype to come, the CS M1911, would come into fruition with subtle advancements made from the previous models. And following up to the pressures of warfare over the horizon, a trial demonstration of Chauchat and Sutter's new machine rifle was approved and ordered in masses by General Joseph Joffre, the French commander-in-chief, in the year of 1915. And war efforts make for interesting manufacturing because one of the private companies, Gladiator, was initially a manufacturer of motor vehicles and bicycles, but was now enlisted to mass-produce CSRGs, and the Gladiator Cycle Company produced more than 200,000 rifles for the French military, and Paul 𝘉𝘰𝘮𝘦 was the general manager of the Gladiator Company during this production, which is why the weapon was eventually labeled as the CSRG to include Chauchat, Sutter, 𝘉𝘰𝘮𝘦, and Gladiator. And it's unfortunate to say the least, but the gun's reputation doesn't really help itself either. The weapon was known to perform fairly normally in safer flat-range environments, but drastically changed once real-world environmental hazards became a part of the equation, and introduced many problems to the system, such as failures to load, feed, chambering issues, easily bendable magazines, getting clogged from dirt or mud were very far from few for the French. This has only created notoriety for the gun and has really actually gone down in a lot of people's books as the definite worst machine gun ever devised. But to me, that could just be hearsay. I would actually still like to take a good look at this weapon, and especially when it's in its Lego form too. So, for starters, we could take a good look back at the stock. And this isn't too complicated. In fact, it really is just a piece of cut wood shaped into a form that cups the shoulder, and then this would be screwed into the two sides of the receiver, and boom, it's all done. No need for a metal plate or anything like that. And I'm already willing to call myself on this, so you guys don't have to, but I actually have unfortunately not built the spring guide latch on the side, and this will be throughout the whole video. However, the problem actually has been fixed in real life and is actually super easy to do for yourselves, in case you're wondering. Just replacing the slope for a tap piece and a 1x1 cheese slope, and just like that, it now has the proper piece. Besides that little mishap though, this really is just covered with reddish brown cheese slopes and inverted slopes throughout, and with its standard brick structure, I have no issue at all throwing some of my weight into the stock, which is pretty awesome. And right in front of all of this, we have the foregrip for the Chauchat. I know we have the grip and the trigger here as well, but I'm just getting through all the boring stuff first before we get into all the fun stuff. And this grip was really awesome to make, but sadly there was more that I wanted to do with it. Like that, I wanted to make the grip out of dark brown pieces originally, to stand away from the other wooden parts on the weapon, but I'm still pretty happy with the results here too. Because just like the grip I have made for the 𝘉𝘬𝘮𝘬 before, it is very sturdy, and with it being placed in the middle of the weapon, actually makes it very easy to maneuver the entire thing. Now we can get into the finer details on some parts here, and with that we have the grip and trigger. The grip was shaped in a very simple way and essentially is built with stamped steel and wood on the real weapon, so I wanted to mimic this look while simultaneously adding a Technic brick on the inside, which just makes the gun feel indestructible and is a great way of adding stability to any grip really. And this trigger is not truly affected by the fire selector in any mode, including the safety unfortunately. But anyways, that was all of the wooden furniture for this weapon, completely covered, so now we could jump into the more technical parts. Taking a look at the other side, we could see the gigantic bolt assembly for the Chauchat, and this thing really had a lot of thought put into it, as well as some accommodations made just so it can operate somewhat similar to the real weapon. One thing I wanted to add was the look of the bolt mimicking the rotating of the locking lugs in the front, and this was achieved through adding a fake firing pin in the front of the bolt, while also adding a fake chamber, which in reality actually catches the bolt enough to create this really neat effect. Now, anyone who already knows that the Chauchat is operated through its long recoiling system, which I actually couldn't add here because it just would get in the way of this locking lug system, so it unfortunately doesn't exist here. But one thing that didn't change was how we actuate this system. And if we pull back enough, the trigger starts to line up with the bolt assembly, and then just with a little finicking around, you can lock the bolt back using the rubber bands mentioned earlier to hold down the entirety of the bolt's tension. It's enough to hold down the whole thing, and then once the trigger is released, it fires the weapon, moving the entire assembly forward, which is just one of the most satisfying features of this build, by far. We could even take off the wall piece here for the gun, just to see slightly more of this bolt, just to give you guys a good grasp of just how much mass is really moving, and even getting this to all tune together was a really challenging but fun task to achieve. The bolt and all its functions work really well, and can even field strip down in my own weird pseudo way, and once it's reversed, can put itself back together. Also, the safety doesn't initially work from the selector area. However, a little workaround of mine is to actually just jam my finger into place, which really just destroys the ability for the trigger to move at all, and I gotta admit, it's actually pretty useful when it comes to running and transporting this thing without it accidentally firing. So, you guys may have already noticed it, but in case you haven't, this weapon does include some sling mounts along the left side of the gun that do swivel back and forth, which some of you may have already known can actually take this one-of-a-kind LEGO branded sling, which is great to unfold and use just like a real traditional sling for all your realistic LARP needs. But unfortunately, the mounts would literally snap if they were actually used in a real-life situation, which makes me kind of wonder if I could at one point make a tough enough sling setup for one of my weapons. Well, maybe someday, but not today. Okay, moving forward, we can now show off yet another really useful feature of the Chauchat, which resides up in the front of the magazine here. Here we can see this cross-section made for really any pinned item to slide into place, and from here we can actually go and grab the bipod for this weapon. And this bipod has two non-adjustable legs that swivel and spin from the top and contain a connecting pin at the very back, and I really gotta say, this design is probably without a doubt one of the best I've ever made so far, no joke. Being so simple to make while also holding a tremendous amount of weight, I'm really impressed with how good this is. So if fatigue was ever an issue while using this, which it may be more than likely, this is a great way to stabilize the weapon in general, and was even originally designed to be operated as a two-person team, where one person covers ammo and loads the weapon, while the other holds sight on the Chauchat and waits to fire once fully loaded. And when you don't want to use the bipod or fully take it off, we could take the legs here and swing them backwards towards the gun to kind of tidy up and keep everything close onto the weapon. Now with this setup, we don't have any locking features for this, so they kind of just swivel around, which really sucked. But then I remembered, wait a second, this is Lego. We could actually build whatever we want. So I actually wanted to build some leg holders that easily snap onto the Chauchat, and just like that, the legs are nicely tucked away and can even be easily removed with little to no effort at all. The barrel shroud of this weapon was definitely one made for more aesthetic reasons than anything else functional. I wouldn't say there's much wrong with it, but while incorporating these vented holes in the back here that were cut into the original Chauchat barrel shroud, they kinda tend to weaken the sturdiness of the entire frame due to the design itself, and its placement really doesn't help out either, causing a slight drooping effect. Not much of an issue, but definitely one at least to mention to whoever would want to build this for themselves. As well, in the front, we have this muzzle device here, which initially wasn't added to the Chauchat when it first came out, but later on actually helped reduce the muzzle flash for the shooter. And this was built using an interesting technique. I've seen a ton of other builders use this to build various other cone shapes, and what they're essentially using is a multi-studded brick, an octagonal plate, and a bar between all of that to lay in between these tile pieces to really get this more accurate angle built for the Chauchat's unique muzzle angle. As well, this right here is the front sight block, which is a non-adjustable fin sight that hangs out from the left side of the whole piece, and if we move backwards, we can take a look at its counterpart rear sight, which this is actually fully adjustable for elevation by using this slider in the middle to adjust its height accordingly. The sights here are a little strange to use, but I wouldn't say they are uncomfortable to hold sight of. Until firing, of course, where that probably changes everything. The long recoil system and 8mm are really no joke, and having an awkward hold on such a powerful weapon like this can really throw off its accuracy tremendously. Unfortunately, infantry wasn't the only obstacle standing in the way of the French army, and they even had to face off against other odds, one specifically being aerial attacks. So right here, we actually have the anti-air sights made out of Lego for the Chauchat, and this was a really fun addition to make for the Chauchat, really enhancing the use of this weapon even more. In the front, we have this twisted sight piece, and in the back, we have this monstrous aperture that can align to the very top of the sights together, while also still being able to use the original sights down below. These pieces are easy to install and uninstall, making it very easy to carry within your kit, but sadly though, a lot of people actually tend to think that these sights are just way too big to be really useful and actually not even worth adding that extra mass in general, which I can understand, even though I personally think these sights just look really cool. Are they practical? Nah, but are they fun? Absolutely. Now, if we wanted to be practical, maybe we could actually jump a little bit further into the future here and pick up this M1913 rail system in place instead of the rear sight. Now, with this rail here, we can really set up whatever type of optic we want, going from holographics to as small as even reflex sights. Oh, you just knew I had to do this. I mean, really, along with all the other stuff, it just would not feel right if I didn't add something like this. And finally, we can cover the one and only most popular feature of this gun, which can be recognized by so many without even knowing its name. Here, we have the famous 20-round Moon magazine, or maybe I should say infamous. I mean, there's quite a bit to mention here. So, for starters, we could see its very unique design, which had to be purposely shaped in order to fit and somewhat load all 20 of these rounds. It's actually commonly known to have soldiers to never really fully load the magazine due to its inefficiency, and instead actually load up to around 16 or 18. So, to show off that detail, this magazine is loaded to what appears to be 18 rounds, and near the bottom, we could take a look at the elevator piece for it. And considering the fact that we could even see these details here, we might as well mention the two gigantic windows here that are actually not only just used to witness your ammo, but its actual reason is to get bullets properly seated while loading, or maybe just trying to fix issues while feeding in general. A challenge I even faced while building this was trying to remain around 2 studs of magazine width, while at the same time being able to have bullets on the inside of the magazine as well. And how that was done was actually by finding the smallest layer of plates I could and using that to create this mimic wall that you could see on the left side. And this wouldn't be used for anything functional except from hiding bullets and all the other building artifacts too. Another fun feature is actually taking the front thumb of yours and then gently pressing on the magazine release to quite literally drop the entire magazine. But then when you're done, you can grab another magazine and then rock and lock it back into place, similar to that of an AK, which is one of my favorite parts. So, it was somewhat becoming known by the time of the war that the 8mm Lebel round was an extremely difficult task for the French to overcome and to manufacture within an automatic platform. So, to ease the challenge upon themselves, talks of changing out the caliber to a more manageable one were being thought of, and in around 1918, the US Expeditionary Forces took the chance on the Chauchat's design and its rechambering of the .30-06 round. And with this new revision made for the American forces, it was hoped to perform even better than the original design did from France. When it comes to the LEGO version, we could take the same thought process and bring out this magazine converter that can easily just click right into place where the original magazine went. But this is a little awkward in this setup, and it honestly looks like one of those cursed guns from Call of Duty Vanguard. Alright, so we can go from this point on and adjust the grip from the center of the weapon to the front, and this does take a little bit of a process, but once that's actually been all handled up, now this is looking a lot more legit. All we're missing here is just a magazine, which is stamped steel, holds 16 rounds, and even features a small little window located on the other side. And now that we have a fully assembled M1918 Chauchat rechambered in .30-06, I personally think this version is a lot nicer to manage, especially while holding, and reloading this is fairly nice, maybe not as smooth as the other magazine, but definitely is rigid enough to hold in place with friction and really actually has no need for the magazine release whatsoever. And I hate to say it, but when it came to the real life version of this, it kinda did even worse than the French one. The problem really stemmed down to loose chambering measurements, and with that, some of these guns would outright not be able to fire, even with the most perfect conditions at hand. Most soldiers even heavily reported dropping it in favor of using their originally issued Springfield 1903 instead, just because of how horrible it was performing out in the field. Well, at least the LEGO version here still works just as well as before, and can even be easily converted back right to its original model. So, finally, in conclusion, after going through virtually every single detail on this gun, I gotta say, there are things I really love about it, and some I just kinda don't. Considering how much importance went into keeping the 8mm Lebel cartridge around, while also ignoring some of its most critical issues at hand, was really interesting to read about, and just kinda goes to show how much of a process it is to design a somewhat successful, single-man operated automatic weapon system. The challenges and the casualty expectancy was extreme, and the French really did face uncertainty even as far as over 100 years ago, and luckily found success through those difficult times. When it comes to my model, this was just another one of those weapons that was more of an idea in my head up until I found a true way to design a full concept. Once I found an official look for the Moon magazine, the rest of the build just came together easily. And now what we have here is the French set, the American set, and all the modern optics to go along with it. I know this did take a very long time to come out, maybe even arguably way too long, so I do apologize, but I would sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed this build and the video.
Oh man, what a video! And if you guys have actually made it all the way to the end here, thank you so much. That means a lot, honestly. And if you guys do actually want to make this Chauchat yourself, all you have to do is check out the link in the description below, and right there should be my Etsy store, and you can actually download the instructions for the Chauchat, or maybe even some other models of mine if you feel like it. That's all in the link down below. As well,
we got some other stuff available. This isn't just a shirt for show. This is actually now available on my new website thanks to Fourth Wall for creating it, 𝘓𝘕𝑢𝑠𝑒𝑟𝑛𝑎ME.com, the official merch store for the channel. And to start off, we actually have some logo stuff, you know, just the classic M Done logo on some shirts, some hoodies, and even some hats. And we also have another design available, but I won't tell you here. If you want to check it out, gotta check out 𝘓𝘕𝑢𝑠𝑒𝑟𝑛𝑎ME.com. I really want to thank the guys over at Fourth Wall because it's been, you know, a long time making this website, and they've just been wondering, when am I gonna make a video? But here it is. Oh my god. But anyway, with all that out of the way, I actually wanted to get into some more personal stuff with you guys, which means I should probably put this down for a little bit. So if you guys want to stick around, that's all up to you, but for now, the video is essentially over. So you guys probably have a lot of questions as to why I'm like always disappearing all the time, you know, why I'm always uploading a video at one point and then there's a lot of time in between, maybe like a few months. And then I randomly upload another video and you're just like, what's going on? You know, what is with that time in between? Well, I'm here to explain. And so not a lot of people know this, but I'm actually a graduate from UNLV as a film major. I actually ended up taking a lot of jobs after college for, I don't know. It's anyone's guess. Okay, so I did a lot of those jobs and, you know, it was actually cool. I gained a lot of experience, met up with a lot of people, and a lot of cool things have actually happened because of that. Another thing though that has happened is I've clearly not been giving my channel enough attention, at least in my opinion. I honestly think this channel deserves a lot more attention. That's kind of why I'm making this video. I'm not even joking. There's like so much I want to do for this channel, and it actually makes me sad that I'm uploading like a few times a year. A few times a year because I'm off doing other jobs that aren't even really my thing. You know, everyone has always known me for the guns, the Lego, and being a YouTuber, all this stuff really, and I feel like I have not been fulfilling myself lately. Fortunately, with this growth for my channel, I actually want to be pushing for doing other things, but I actually have the problem of having some people in my life who personally do not agree with a lot of the things that, I mean, it's not even opinions of mine, these are just like things that I just do that are fine to do and that in my eyes, in my opinion, are fine to do. But you know, a lot of people in my life have definitely changed a lot in the last few years, and with that, it's kind of, I don't know, made me a little sad. It's just gotten to the point where I feel better avoiding people now. It literally feels better to just like not even start up conversations with anyone. Like I figured a lot of people actually really appreciated the things I do, but it doesn't really seem like that with some of my friends and family, unfortunately. So it's just, it's been kind of driving me a little insane. You know, I just kind of want to live my life, and I feel like I have not changed. You know, the mission, guys, has always remained the same. Build all the guns. That's the truth. Whether it's movies, video games, or just real life, we are building all the guns. That's right. I mean, that's always been my mission. I think that's been my mission since I was like, oh, I'm gonna build all the Call of Duty guns, and then it was like, I'm gonna build all these guns. I'm gonna build all these. I'm gonna build them all. I just want to build guns. It's fun. It's therapeutic to me, and it's a great way for me to teach and educate a lot of people on firearms history, because not a lot of people know. But I would really hate it if something were to happen to the point where I couldn't even make these videos anymore, and that's what it feels like has been happening. And it makes me feel like I'm neglecting something that's really truly important, not only just to me, but to you guys too. And I don't want to deny myself or you guys that anymore. That's why I want to say that I actually think I might be personally moving here soon. I've lived in Vegas for so long, and by so long I mean my whole entire life. Just, you know, I've always lived here. I've never lived anywhere else, and just to think that that we could be, you know, going somewhere else and having new experiences is kind of a scary thought, not gonna lie. But a lot of people in my original life have just changed. They don't like the person I am, they don't like who I am, they don't like the things I represent, and they don't think I'm a good person. Well, I want to make content for you guys. I feel like that's kind of what I've always been about, and this is like, I just feel like I'm just constantly ignoring that, and I don't know why I would do that. So this is me saying I'm doubling down.
hopefully soon, hopefully after this video. I am still working on a few things in the meantime as a LEGO creator, so it hasn't actually just been weddings and video jobs. Here, check this out. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? That's I don't know if you can tell, but I don't know if you could tell, but I know this looks kind of crazy because it is, but hear me out. There's actually a huge concept with these guys. I'll explain it in a little bit. So I'm sure you guys are aware of the NFT thing. Yeah, I know, don't screenshot. Okay, I get it. So I've actually been working in a lot of that stuff really indirectly. For the most part, I actually work on a lot of LEGO creations, like the ones that you see here on screen. But lately, you know, the NFT craze has been that, well, a craze. And a lot of people have actually been requesting these guys to be specifically built. I'll even show another example right here. So a lot of people know about the CryptoPunks and all the other NFTs, and lately we've actually been doing like the CryptoPunk and Bored Ape. So here's an example of a CryptoPunk that, you know, we saw this and we're like, okay, how can we bring this into the 3D realm? And this is actually what we came up with right here. So, but you know, it's not really about the money to me. I just love building stuff in general. It's always been fun. And also these photos that you see here are all by me too. I just, you know, this is just all fun for me. It's always been like that. And genuinely, I just want to enjoy all this again. It's been very hard to enjoy all this lately because of all this kind of craziness that's been going on. I'm not sure if you guys are aware. Have you noticed that there's been craziness going on lately? Feels like I have to get away from all these people who I feel like have changed a lot, where I'm still the same old, my different username. I want to make the same old guns and also make them have more attachments and stuff. I don't know, I want to do better. That's all I really want to do. Also, I want to get back into streaming. You know, it's just been a while. My area kind of dealt with some internet problems for a while, but it's actually been fixed. But like, I've also been dealing with other things. Still, like, it's been tough. I feel like if I don't say this here, it's just never gonna get said. So, you know, I'm gonna say my own words on my own YouTube channel for once. Yeah, I kind of feel like, you know, people have been literally pushing me away from all this, the LEGO gun stuff. And that's what makes me more or less sad than anything else. You know, people have actually been supporting the fact that I've been building other things in LEGO. Some have even suggested that that is better to do and that I should just forget about the LEGO gun thing in general, and that really makes me sad. These are my friends and family telling me to stop doing the thing that I started myself at a very young age because it was something fun for me, and they're trying to turn it into this horrible, nasty thing that I frankly do not believe in, and it's just terrible. And this is my push against that. You know, this is kind of me saying like, no, I think you're actually wrong. I'm hoping to escape from all of it soon, but for now, I am slowly but surely financially making that happen. And the best way you guys can support is just by doing what you have been doing already, you know, watching the videos, liking, subscribing, commenting, critiquing. You know, you guys are allowed to do whatever, that's fine. You dislike the video, that's fine. That's more than okay. You are allowed to do that if you want. Oh man, I can't believe, yeah, I already know about the changes and I just cannot believe that. But that's about it. I hope you guys have enjoyed and thanks for watching. This is such an awkward angle. I'm making it work though. Oh.
It's okay. You got it.
We got to cut.
Okay.
We got to cut. Oh. Oh. Uh-oh.
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 Uh-oh. Okay.
Uh-oh.